As a disclaimer to this video that you're about to watch, I am not a financial expert. This is not to be taken as financial advice. I'm not giving any advice. I'm simply giving my opinion. I am not a political expert. I'm not a political scientist. None of this should be taken as advice. You shouldn't watch this video. And I'm just simply sharing my opinion. Thank you. This video might be broken up in a couple different segments. I'm at my church right now doing a movie night thing with a bunch of the young adults, and I just feel like I need to do a video. There's a lot of tension, a lot. I've been feeling it all day. I just feel like all this tension in my gut. Stuff is really stirring. Russia, the other day, tested a massive missile that they're calling the Satan missile, and they're saying that they're going to potentially test this again any day now. And see, what I expect to happen is that at some point it's going to be revealed that Russia, Iran, and North Korea have been plotting for some time to annihilate Israel. And I also have a hunch that that missing Malaysian Flight 370 is sitting in southern Russia somewhere. I can't prove that. It's just a hunch that I have. Some of you guys will be familiar with this, but I don't think this ever got exposed to a massive group of people. And I am going to get to some Dinar stuff. I just need to process some of this out, and I think for context this will help. God told me, this was like 2014, 2013, somewhere in there. God had given me a word that there was going to be a bear that would walk through the city, and it would be on the news for hours and hours and hours. No one would know how to deal with the bear. People would kind of be bewildered, but this was going to happen. And I saw clearly a vision of a bear walking through a city on its hind legs, and it was just bizarre. I don't even have words to articulate exactly what I saw, but this bear was walking through the city, and the media was just absolutely mesmerized. I'm sitting up about 2 months later at 6 a.m. I can't sleep, and on CNN it comes on that Russia has invaded Crimea. Right away, I know that this is the fulfillment of that vision that I had with the bear walking through the city. If you guys remember, that was on the news for days straight. It was like 2 or 3 weeks. That was the #1 story on the news. And after that, there was a distinct second part to that vision. God said, I will deal with the bear in a very unusual fashion, and that will be on the news for months and months and months and months and months. What do we see? Russia is in the news almost every day, at least from places like CNN, okay, because of the whole Russian collusion, BS, whatever. But anyways, I just remember feeling like there was something sinister that Putin was up to. And that God was going to deal with him in a very, very unusual fashion. Kim Clement prophesied about Russia being caught with their pants down, I believe. And I don't fear Russia, because I really do believe that two things. God has pretty spectacular plans for them. Chris Valaton had prophesied about them, I think it was back in 2012, 2014, might have even been 2016. But he had prophesied some really cool stuff that would be coming out of Russia, and it definitely jived with my spirit, and a move of God that was going to come through there. And I don't have it out for Iran. I really want you guys to hear my heart. I want freedom for the people of Iran. Most of them have just accepted if they put their head down, stay out of trouble, they're not going to have the government come down on them. That's a pretty miserable way of life. This video might be a little disjointed. if I have to start and restart. Anyway, North Korea is going to get dealt with here pretty quick. Kim Jong-un is going to die. I would be willing to put money on that. I want to pray otherwise, but the guy is sinister. He doesn't really want to talk, and this is going to be revealed too. I'm happy that Trump is trying, and I would love for them to have peace talks and create a unified North Korea, but I really get this feeling in my spirit that the guy is just he's trying to be deceitful. I don't believe he has any intention on peace talks or anything resembling that. I think he's trying to buy time so he can finish his weapons program so that he can fire them off and hit North Korea. What I think might happen is that he might fire off a missile that actually misses its mark and hits in Iran. I think there's a couple of people that have prophesied about that as well, but that would not surprise me. So I think there's going to be some stuff that unravels here between Russia, Iran, and North Korea. We tend to sit here and think about worst case scenarios for everything, which is really messed up. We're supposed to have the mind of Christ, right? God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. Yet, we as Christians sit here and are like, well, what about what Satan, who gives a flying crap what Satan wants to do? Really? Like, honestly, do you really think that should be our mindset? Should we be worried about what Putin wants to do? I wouldn't be. Rocket Man, Iran, what Satan wants to accomplish in the United States, I don't give a flying crap. I don't. It's the wrong kind of mindset. We need to tune into the heart of God and ask what He has. Because I can guarantee you God's heart for this earth is not destruction. He did that once. He swore it was never going to happen again by flood. I would dare to argue He doesn't want to destroy the entire earth. And we're so focused on these negative things in the Bible that we see, like the Armageddon and how bad things are going to get. Why do we limit God? Like, seriously, why? Why are we limiting Him in what He can do, in His outpouring, in what God even wants to do? I really don't believe this is the end yet. Like, yeah, we're in the end of times, but this is not the end time. We got time yet. We need to go win nations for God. There needs to be things that we need to partner with and do with God yet. Things aren't over. And we need to stop waving the white flag, just expecting we need Jesus to return. I think Jesus has some stuff He needs us to do first. On that note, with the Dinar, there's stuff I really, really wish I could tell you guys. Okay, like, the reason I didn't do videos or calls or anything for the longest time, there was nothing new. Okay, we got some pretty exciting calls back in like 2012, 2013. There was another 3 calls that were really exciting in 2015, where I wasn't the only one who was sure we were going to have the RV that night. I'm not the most conservative Dinar person out there, but I think I'm anything but trigger happy. You guys know I haven't called this every day. March 21st was an exception to that, but I've had times where I was sure this was going to happen, and for whatever reason it didn't. And since 2015, there hasn't been any calls that have caught my interest, and that changed a month and a half ago, middle of February. There was stuff that started to come in from different places that actually was interesting, and I wish I could tell you guys more specific. There were 3 calls that were of really, really interesting context, based on where they were coming from and who they were coming from. And nothing since 2015 had got my attention. Those ones did, very much so. I can't tell you who they are. I can't tell you where they're connected to. It just doesn't benefit anybody. But there's been some stuff that's been coming in from different places over the last little bit that makes me very optimistic as to where we're at. I wish I could say more. I just can't. This isn't false hope. You have to think like people like me and Frank and Randy Kuntz and whoever else. Like, do you really think we're just spending all this time putting this information out just to hear ourselves talk? Because with like the death threats and the blowback that I get from these videos, really not worth it. I'm not monetizing this. I don't get money from these videos, like, and I don't like to hear myself talk that much. So you have to think like why we're actually doing this. Some people might not like Frank, but you really gonna tell me that he's really just doing this just to monetize his calls? Really? You don't invest that kind of time and effort just to con people. I'm sorry, you just don't. I've always believed that this was going to happen. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I would suggest people actually pay attention to what Frank and Walking Stick are saying. I know they have never really seen eye to eye with me. I was never really conservative enough for them, which is why I got banned off their site, but it was probably actually a blessing because I stepped out on my own, and I probably wouldn't have done that had I not been banned off their site back in 2012. But I would suggest people listen to him, listen to Randy, if Sooner Fan or Freeway Bill, who else? I would pay attention to those guys. They know their stuff. So I think there's a lot of guys in that generation who used to post a lot back in 2012, 2013 that haven't for a long time. And if they make an appearance, I would pay attention. I think a lot of people just don't want to come out anymore because it's not worth the flack and the blowback. I really didn't want to do videos anymore or calls or anything. And the Lord was really direct in saying that I needed to do them. I had to come back. I had to do them. And this was a sphere he wanted me to have influence in, both before and after. So I wouldn't be worried about Russia. I wouldn't be worried about North Korea, Iran. We just need to be praying. And if you don't know what else to pray, pray in tongues. And if you don't pray in tongues, then pray the Lord's Prayer. Just get in line with God's will. And we really, really, really need to stop limiting God in what he can and can't do. We need to partner with him and stop telling him how things have to go. Like people telling God that there has to be a crash before there can be an RV and stuff. Come on. I think we need to learn better than to offend God and telling him that we know better than he does how things need to be done. His ways are higher. His ways are better. We don't need to understand it. We just need to get in line with that. There might be more that I'm adding to this. I'll see here in a bit, but that's really what I had at the moment. I think it can be a pretty turbulent 72 hours here, and I wouldn't be surprised if something happens in the next, day or two or three. I think we need to be on high alert. I think we need to be ready. I do feel it's a time and season for this. Oh, I was going to mention about Iran. I'm not pining for war in Iran. Okay, what God kind of placed in my spirit tonight was that if there's war in Iran, that's a sign of the devil's last attempt to stop the RV. And it's not actually going to stop it, it's actually going to help it, because oil prices would skyrocket if the whole thing between Iran and Saudi Arabia goes down like I think it will. I've always had this vision of Iran blowing up a refinery, either on purpose or accidentally, in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia retaliating. But that's setting off oil prices to go to 100, 120 bucks a barrel really, really quickly. And I've also just been pondering if North Korea accidentally shoots a missile into Iran, and if Iran mistakes that for Saudi Arabia, and there's a bunch of variables here, and it could be a powder keg of sorts, but we need to trust that God can actually use this and turn this for good. I wish I didn't have to come to some of this, It's sad that we live in a fallen world, but I think that's why we need to pray and partner with God and just ask for his will to be done, because he knows a lot better than we do. And I think we're going to be very happy with the timing of the RV when this happens. But we also need to, be going on offense. That reminds me, I forgot my disclaimer. I'll do that, and then edit that in. So the beginning of the video, you should have watched the disclaimer if you're seeing this. Anyways, have a good night, guys. There might be more that I tag on here, but I hope you guys are well. Be praying. And thank you for watching.